Jeff, hand it to you.
Thank you very much, David. Let's have a look then at this idea of a roadmap that's constantly being examined, reviewed, and developed. So it is all about the features that we're trying to create within the product that bring benefits to the customer. It has to be in a position where CRM is a keenly priced product with features that are designed to help the business serve, acquire, keep, retain. We want to build and keep those customers all the way through for the Sage base, and our integration capabilities allow us to have conversations with partners around their overall business needs throughout the organization. So we are all about delivering functionality that is demanded from the base. And I think towards the end of this presentation, you're going to be hearing about how you can influence the roadmap by sharing what your business needs to either through the different channels that we run from central office, which is the partner advisory boards, or from the local team when you are logging in and making enhancement requests through the office. But what I want you to understand, if we look at the next slide, David, what I want you to put this into perspective is that Sage CRM is designed to integrate with other systems. We've had different, emphases during the different points within the release cycle. But we know that integration is what we're good at, and typically, although we have this different focus within this, it's always to do with every release. There are incremental improvements, whether it's delivering interface and user experience improvements, looking at getting rid of the annoyances that we have, the pain points that we have, and integration improvements. And it's our strategy to make the APIs central to the CRM proposition, the Sage CRM proposition. So we're working to make sure that beyond the core features that you've got within Sage CRM, the sales, marketing, service features, the workflow features that you have, that we've got APIs that are standard-based, free, importantly free for developers to use, and to encourage ISVs to get involved with this. We want our APIs to be used to integrate Sage CRM beyond the Sage Business Cloud products and become part of an ever-expanding ecosystem within an organization. And so some of the changes that we've made in recent releases actually have been commercial to free up the API. So we relaxed a little while ago the installation requirements so that the SDK, for example, no longer requires a developer license key. Everyone can now develop using the .NET and REST APIs. And that REST API is the essential element in merging older and newer style deployment. So Sage CRM typically is deployed within a hybrid cloud environment, and increasingly businesses need to capture vast amounts of data while they still press on with their digital transformation strategy. So David was talking about the digital transformation strategy, and this is how we're doing it. It's through the use of the APIs, through the use of the core process features within CRM. So let's have a look at recapping this. What have we done recently? Well, 2021, February 2021, saw our R1 release for that year. The two releases in 2021 were significant releases that actually went beyond simple incremental changes. Before 2018 R3, we had been somewhat sort of just adding a few things that had to be added, or really just were changing the appearance of the deck chairs. But here we have started to really bite into it with interface improvements, experience improvements, and looking at some of the API changes that we needed to make. So if we kick on into the August release, These releases are all really about giving local teams really strong reasons to talk to their customers about upgrading, so making sure that everything is offering compliance and conformity, that there's and when we're moving forward with the continual updates, there is a strong reason for going back and talking to customers in order to improve your own C4L numbers. Customer for life. Here at the top level, we've started to change the product so that we now provide, and I'm looking at 2021, 2022 R1, please there, David, the next slide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this one, we've made sure that we've added in support for the Azure SQL database. This is 2022 R1. We've added Azure support a little while ago, but this is now support for the SQL database within Azure. And this is a narrative that is all about making sure that customers can adopt the cloud whenever they want. They can move to it, and importantly, position Sage CRM in the overall direction of the company Sage, which is to be cloud based. And we're going to also, in this release, we've also made other changes about consistency of features across the organization, across the application. So changes like logs and things like that. So there are a lot of smaller changes, but I want you to get to understand is that we are moving along the road that Sage as a company is moving, and we're investing in that. Now, if we go on to our understand that a little bit more about the importance in this year so far that we've added SQL support, Azure SQL support, is that this means that we can move to a position that we can deploy CRM within the Sage Partner Cloud. And from a Sage perspective, that means that we count that as Sage as that native cloud revenue. And that means that you're good for that as well as partners. Now, we're not there yet. The UK will be the first company, first operating region to do that, but we're well in the discussions about doing this. But Sage, as a company, is committed to being a great cloud and SaaS company, and CRM is part of that commitment. And so we want you to be able to deploy Sage CRM in any way that the customer wants and needs. So we can integrate directly with accounting products. We can integrate through the ISV third-party solutions. We can integrate with however you're using the cloud, whether it is with 300, whether it's intact, whether it's Sage 50, whether it's whatever. The point is that these are all products within Sage's mid-market, and that is our sweet spot. That's what we want. And the choice of being able to deploy within an Azure SQL database server is an extension of our commitment to deployment on Azure, deployment on Amazon Web Services. It is something that we've been moving to right from 2021 R1, actually, which is when we added the support for Amazon Web Services. Now, the option gives you the freedom to be able to deploy where you like. You get the, if we can get into the cloud, and we hope to into the Sage Partner Cloud, we'll be able to give you the best value storage options that you can use. You can take advantage of the features of the Sage Partner Cloud, including automatic backups and elastic sizing. And again, it is all about customer choice, customer needs, you being able to be responsive to them, and extending that is an important criteria. Now, I have to say is that you can do this now. This is not dependent on the Sage Partner Cloud. If you are partnered with a company offering Azure management or cloud management services, you can do this straight away. So you know you can take advantage of the Azure SQL offering, which reduces the cost of ownership for the customer, increasing the value of the Sage CRM proposition. And look out for this. We're going to be attacking that cost base even further. We're looking at the idea of using the web edition SQL as well, and adding support for that into the future.
Right.
Right. Well, I think I've
Lovely.
finished with this slide, David.
Thank you, Jeff. Yes, and it's a big deal, and many of our partners are already doing that, as Jeff said. So it's out there, can be done right now. So take advantage of it. Jeff, what else can you tell us about ISVs, APIs working together?
Well, a lot of the changes that we've made about a lot of the changes that we made about the REST API has been making it an attractive proposition for developers. So if you have a look at adding in the building the slide, please, David. So if you drop this in, what you can see is that that if you go onto the Sage CRM community, you will be able to get all sorts of different examples of code, how to do things using the APIs, whether that's actually through the advanced customization wizard, whether it is through code snippets that demonstrate particular techniques. You've got the SDK as well there if you're working with .NET extensions. And you've got all code snippets that show how to use the client-side APIs, how to use the REST APIs. But when it comes to adding in, we've got a number of new partners coming in. Syncler, looking at integrations within, typically within the German market, but and integrating with Sage. So their Sage 100 product, which is the equivalent of Sage 300 in Germany. But interestingly, Syncler is an integration engine, and they're looking at integrating with Sage Intacct as well. They position that integrating Sage CRM into Intacct and other products like X3. Lead Info, brand new to us, and I should say S5 Maps is also a new addition. When you've got products like Lead Info, and there's another one coming in called Spotler, these look at the idea of CRM as a front office system and extends it into your corporate website. So we're not talking about self-service here, but we're talking about people who visit a website, look at it, spend time on it. Now, when you visit a website, you are identifying yourself through an IP address. That's your organizational IP address. And so you get the sense, this person from this company has visited. Well, you can reverse engineer an IP address and tie it in with other behavioral information that you have, which is GDPR safe. If you're concerned about that, it's privacy safe because it's not about a private individual, it's about an employee of a company, which means that they can work out who has visited a site. That can be created automatically as a lead inside Sage CRM, which can then, of course, as a lead, be promoted to an opportunity with the integration with the account system. You can then start to look at a full customer journey all the way through, all driven by API changes. And we're going to be hearing a little bit more in a moment about how 300's product has been changing as well to take advantage of these APIs and feature enrichments that we've been adding in. The mapping features that are there, all extending Sage CRM beyond what you think it is, which is sales, marketing, and service. This is not. This is a development environment that integrates all of the operational features of Sage that a business might have into something that unites it with its accounting system. And this is why we've been adding, through these hard years of COVID, 20% every year to our customer base. So I'm going to encourage you now, if you are a developer, explore the fact that we were one of the first REST APIs to be added to developer.sage.com. We're there right in the midst of all of the other mid-market products like Intacct, like Sage 300, like 200 in the UK. We're there. We have a REST API that makes that API central to the proposition of Sage within an organization. We're continuing to work on the API. We have seen several updates on that as we go through the product, and we're well set being able to then pass that across into the integration news around Sage 300.